All right, so welcome back into the metaverse. Today is going to be a little different. We're going to be filming from my home studio. As you guys can see, we're not on set today, but it doesn't matter. We're going to dive into a game that we've been after for a while, and that is My Neighbor Alice. We'll dive into what they're doing, some of the updates, and a lot more as we get inside My Neighbor Alice. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to Metaverse Insider. Let's get into a little bit of the topic today. We've got, of course, a team member on from My Neighbor Alice, and it's Oliwer Svensson, who is the game director from My Neighbor Alice and Antler Interactive. So, Oliver, great to have you on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry for my voice. I've been sick and I'm just recovering. As you can see, I'm still kind of in my home studio. So I appreciate you tolerating it for a while and taking our questions. But definitely, we've been after you guys for a while, trying to get some clarity, I guess, with where you guys are going from an overall direction for My Neighbor Alice. And I'd love to learn more about the team at Antler Interactive and a little about because I think a lot of people, when we talked about this on the show before, is that you guys are a fairly large game house. Can you tell us a little bit about the team, the overall organization?
Yeah. So when we started working with Chromia, we were just about 8 people working on the team, and it was a few of us who actually working on the initial prototype, me including working as the game director and come up with the idea and pitched it. So together with Chromaway, then we formed a team specifically for the development of Alice. And as we formed that team, we hired new members because the game became more ambitious. We had so much more ideas, and we wanted to make something fantastic out of this idea that we had. And due to the success also on the Binance launch and the possibility to expand the team, we did so. So by going from 8 members, I think we are about 50, 60 people working just on Mini Realis.
So, okay, so you guys, again, and we'll get into the Chromia partnership. I want to talk a little bit
Mm,
about that.
mm.
Before we move on, new CEO in place. What's that like right now with the team? How is that transition occurring?
Yeah. So Lenny is working as the CEO right now for Antler, and also as the CEO for Mania Bralis. And it's been fantastic because I worked with him previously before he took the role as the CEO. And we've had a fantastic partnership, me and him, during the development. And he has given me a lot of freedom in the creative direction and allowing me to basically take decisions that make the game as good as it should be. So I think he has have made the team being able to grow as we are. And yeah, so Lenny's great to work with.
I like the fact that, there's a lot of game companies and projects, especially in blockchain, that I think one, the key is having good leadership, also having great developers, designers. But when you kind of put all those packages together, it really kind of brings in a pretty magical experience. Tell me a little bit about the process that you guys worked on, because as a traditional game house, and
Mm,
then transitioning into blockchain with My Neighbor
mm.
Alice, what were some of the key things from a team that you guys had to really kind of learn or become much more familiar with, in being able to transition gameplay, game design, game economy, all that kind of stuff? How did that work?
Mm. I think it's an excellent question. I think that's what we've been challenged with the most. Looking for people, recruiting new game designers, is to find people who are interested in these challenges that they are faced with developing for blockchain. Because it can be quite intimidating for people to start game development, especially for blockchain. So we've had our challenges finding people who want to work for the concept. But I think due to the nature of what we're building and the style that we're aiming to build the game on, I think we have some attractiveness to it because there's a lot of freedom in as a designer, as a programmer to work on this project. So I think my as I've been part of all recruitments up till, I mean, a few months ago, recruiting a lot of people for the project. What I've seen in the people and what I've been looking for in the people that we've recruited is that finding people who are very passionate about what they're building, being feeling that they can voice their opinions and put their game design skills, for example, into practice, and not being too controlled by just that we're building on blockchain, that we are not allowed to take creative freedom as we are in
Right.
other traditional game development.
Yeah, I could see that being a big factor. So, for some of our viewers, maybe they've never had a chance to see the game or become a player on it. Explain the overall function and kind of the core economy of how My Neighbor Alice works.
Yeah, so basically the player will be able to create an avatar and play as a player in this world that we're building, and we're aiming to have it be a smaller scale MMO. So MMO is a very huge term, and it's in context with a lot of big games, but we're aiming to give the player the same experience as they are in those games, but still keep it contained into the style and universe we're building. So obviously the plots are a huge central factor in the game, and that's where the player will put a lot of their creativity down and meet friends, neighbors, and other people in the game. So the online functionality is very important for the game. Um, yeah,
How will people be able to earn, I guess, earn within the game from the economy side of things? What are the core elements for, on the play and earn aspect?
yeah. So in the current design as we're having it, and also due to the nature of alpha seasons, we're able to evaluate how people will use the economy we're building. So it will be an iterative phase during these seasons where we will find out kind of the user behaviors and how they interact with the economy. But basically, what we're aiming to do is for players to get into the game, and people who are already landowners and who have already acquired a land will be able to get help from other players in the game to help them with farming, help them with crafting, help them with all kinds of activities that you can do on your plot to maximize the output. Since we're having gameplay such as these activities as crafting and such on your plot, you'll be able to produce an income, and these things that you're able to do on your plot can be effectivized by getting help from other players. So basically, as a player who doesn't own land, you will be able to take on activities and quests from other players to help them maximize their income, and from that in that way you'll be able to get a shared profit out of that
Yeah.
experience. And we yeah
I like that approach. I think that, especially as you guys continue to build on the game itself, the core demographic that would fit into My Neighbor Alice, are you seeing any centralization of players, makeup in terms of
mhm.
demo? What does it look
I
like right
think
now?
I think we will have a huge variety of players. I believe when we started the prototype, we believed that we wanted to find a way to balance the male to female player ratio, or at least find a concept that was challenging the other blockchain project that existed. But now, when we worked further on the game, we can see that there's still a huge variety of people interested in this kind of game, and not only people in blockchain space, but as the goal with this game is um, to find people who are not, traditionally interested in blockchain to see this game as a potential game they would play anyway, because blockchain is
Right.
one of the technologies we're building on.
Yeah, I see that, being the factor. Do you see this being interesting or potentially a gateway for maybe children to come in? Because this has a lot of, feel around Animal Crossing, I mean, my kids play it all the time.
Mm,
Example of, that kind of play, or do you feel like this is
mm.
gonna be a little bit more advanced?
I think there will be. I think children so far, since there is a an economy in the game, and we are still, talking about something that potentially could be real money. I think we have to look carefully into who we give access to the game. But I'd love to have a huge variety of audience going for younger ages to the older ages. But as
Right.
the game is designed now, I see just people within perhaps 18 plus playing this game as a starter.
Yeah, I think that, that's something that with a game like this, it still has great appeal. I mean, of all ages, I think we're seeing more and more of that for sure. When you think about traditional gaming that's out there that has a lot of similarities, whether it's a Animal Crossing or something like that, trying to transition into NFTs, and I want to talk about cNFTs here in a second. Do you think game houses, I mean, you guys have done this, so
Mm,
do you feel like this is gonna be a trend that more and more game houses will start to move into more and more blockchain development?
mm. Yeah, I think the potential of having an in-game economy that is much more than centralized, that you have so much utility for what you earn and what you do with the game. I
Yeah,
think it's definitely attractive for studios to do this. But I think applying blockchain to an existing game is extremely difficult due to the principles of design it has been built on. Since Alice initially was designed to have blockchain or 100% on chain, we could design the game according to those principles. So I think it's a challenge for studios to adapt existing games over to blockchain, but new ideas definitely I think is something we should look out for in the future from other studios.
yeah. What about release plans? What platforms, where would Alice be that we can get to it? Now you have
Yeah.
Alpha 1 or the Alpha, 1 coming up soon.
Mm.
Where will this be deployed?
Yeah, so we'll first target PC gamers as we're developing also our own launcher that we will launch the game on. The
Mm,
PC is the first target audience, but as we're building more applications for the Alice IP, so Alice is just more than the game, but it's getting to be a bigger IP that we're building things for. There will be other ways to interact with the IP, the game, and the economy than just from the PC. As if you're depending on what kind of target audience you are. If you're an investor, you will get a chance to interact with the game in your way, and we're trying to find those ways effectively and make it fun for everyone, basically.
yeah. I like the approach when PCs seem to be the natural evolution. I still think mobile is gonna be a big factor for really successful games. Heard this morning just, that Axie just is getting released out on mobile, so I think that's gonna change accessibility because that's still a
Mhm.
problem in a lot of emerging countries is accessibility from PC standpoint could be a challenge. The other thing with your own launcher, is this something that you guys did because of the Steam issue, or do you think people are just willing to go out and do that? And that feels like a big hurdle to overcome to get into the gameplay.
Mm. Yeah, like due to the nature of the game and the company, and we are also in charge of building the platform we're building the game on. We saw the kind of the interest of creating a middle ground where to launch a lot of our coming Chromia games and other people building on Chromia. So it was a natural step to take, but definitely Steam not allowing games that contains blockchain was definitely the kind of the day we felt that this should be seriously uh, taken on, and we should start developing our launcher. And we definitely had, even for the beginning, uh, thoughts about the launcher, but it became more apparent when Steam came out and said that they're not supporting blockchain games.
Yeah. I think it's a good plan, and eventually I think we'll see a lot of these platforms begin to open up to blockchain. So I think it's just a matter of time, and
Mm.
awareness around the marketplace. Talk to me about onboarding, getting new players in. What's the strategy for you guys? What are you guys going to do in terms of whether it's marketing or certain kinds of giveaways or other promotions or play
Mm.
access? What's the strategy for you guys to gain players?
Yes, so the strategy currently is that we're aiming first this year at the existing landowners, so those who have been supporters of the game, those who have invested in the game, who are Alice owners, to you know give them access first, but also getting feedback from them, hearing what they think, and potentially fixing those issues that we have. Uh, but yeah, that's going to be the focus for this year.
All right, so I want to thank our sponsor today, and that is Wizardia, an NFT play to earn game. And as you guys look at different projects out there, a lot of the play to earn space really focuses in on NFTs, and especially in their early stages. One of the things I look at, of course, is always their team. And they do a great job at doxing their team, which I think is one of the first things you have to do as a game, especially in this time. It is one of the things that really kind of sets games and projects apart. Also, another area is, of course, Wizardia staking. We'll continue to see, I think, a lot of innovation from this team. And of course, if you are looking at diving into NFTs, Wizardia is providing a 10% discount with the link in the description below. So make sure and use that. And there's a lot of other ways that you can take a look at how to get involved in this project. So make sure and check out Wizardia and help the channel out. You talked about landowners right there, and I was looking at some of the notes here.
Mm,
Lummelunda, explain a little bit about how land works within the game itself, because I think that is we've seen more and more growth with land acquisition as a digital asset, and
mm,
both within game, but also for the achievement levels of being able to do things within games too, because many games use this kind of ecosystem for their NFT architecture. How does
mm.
yours work?
Yeah. So basically, the whole map or the whole world of Alice is basically split up into different islands in this archipelago. And each island is very specifically themed. So you could live in Snowflake Island where it always snows, and another one can live in Sandy Coast where it's always snowing. But these islands also have regions and names, and the regions themselves have plots. So it's a very large world, and what's very specific or very special about this also is that we're going to have an open world where you actually can traverse between the plots. So you have basically an open world between these regions within each island. So basically, each plot and each player owned area will be traversed, being able to traverse between. So you can go over to your neighbor, and it's going to be in basically an open world with like constantly changing uh, dynamics and structures because the player will build differently.
Yeah, that's cool. I think
Yeah.
that's a little bit different spin than we've seen with some of the gameplay, and also from land acquisition standpoints. With that being the case, and because this is one thing that when I talk to game companies and the number of games that we review here on this channel, one of the big things is always I'm always looking for what is a one or two differentiator item that, from a blockchain standpoint, that really kind of separates the game. Axie has a certain kind of aspect to its gameplay, how you can acquire, how you can stake, just some different features that enable some ways for players to make money, but also to have fun.
Hmm. Yeah.
Sandbox has some uniquenesses to it. What would be the one or two things that would really kind of stand Alice out?
Mm. So what's interesting besides only the plots is that we have waters, we have different natures, we have different starting conditions for each plots. Neither are they the best or the worst. It's just basic starting conditions for all players in different areas. But you as a player will have to explore the lands of this archipelago to fish, to craft, to farm, to find resources. So basically. You will have to navigate this world and interact with other people to get your way forward in the game to get a bigger profit, and the exploring is a huge part of this, that it is an open world. You'll be able to explore and perform these things over the different continents that we build. So it's not that you stay just in your plot, but you should explore, and your plot that you own, if you have great starting conditions to fish, for example, the waters is perfect for a set of activity that will attract other players to play on your plot as well. So I think we have a great dynamic in the game, and with the activities that we build for the game, I think it will be very interesting for landowners and other players to just explore and interact with the world.
Let's get this is good information. Let's get into Alpha Season 1 though, because I wanna break this down on, first of all, when is it gonna be available? When will it be open to the public? What's the strategy in terms of the rollout for, the Alpha Season?
Yeah, so what we're currently doing is that I cannot set an exact date, but the phase we have right in front of us is that we're building a portal. So we are making everything in house, basically. We feel that what we need to do this release with a launcher, with staking, with buying land, everything. It's very important that we can control this and we can make sure that it's a good experience. So we're building on these different platforms to enable a release that is efficient, that is scalable, and allowing future seasons. So that is the focus currently, but the team is working very hard also on the first piece of gameplay that the players will play on. So we have the first activities such as fishing, and we also have access to plots. So you being able as a landowner to get access to the plot you've acquired. So creating utility for the landowners is important, or creating utility for anything basically that we've sold previously is very important. I think that not having utility for things we've sold is that should not it should exist utility for
Yeah.
basically most things. So that is the plan, and we're working very hard. So hopefully, if for summer now we might have an alpha release for people to enjoy.
Is the feedback been moderate, positive? Are you getting, kind of the feedback you want in terms of helping advance the game? How's that
Mm.
been?
Yeah, so there's a huge, of course, huge pressure from everyone who have invested and they want to participate. They want to know when we release. But the thing is also that we're doing our best and trying to communicate as well as we can, and also grow the team when it comes to communication to enable the right kind of communication to the investors and such. So we have one channel that actually talks with the players and get their feedback. But actually, for the previous launch, we had a very small closed alpha access. The actual feedback we got on the game was very very positive in terms of people wanting to contribute to give feedback in order for the game to succeed. So I believe that everyone
Yeah.
that is behind Alice and that supports it is giving us all the feedback necessary to make it a good game, because they are an investor and they want the game to succeed as well as we want. So everyone is basically helping us building.
Yeah.
So feedback is the least problem we will have.
With land being, one of the key components in the alpha season, with the new, with the early stage gamers, is it gonna flow similar to like what Axie has done with Axie Land, which is pretty much, doesn't have a value, or there's nothing you can do with it just yet until we see it roll out. Will this work the same way until your beta launches?
Yeah, so we will slowly open up each feature at a time, and of course there will be little to do in the beginning as we open up access and make sure that it works, that the multiplayer functionality, interaction with the world, access to your plot, actually the client gameplay, walking around with your character
Right.
and such. That itself I see as utility, gaining just the access. But of course, for the future alpha seasons, we will add continuously new gameplay to this land and create even more gameplay. But as a start, definitely would be just having access to your land.
I think that's gonna be, I mean, it's worked for Sky Mavis and others, out there. We've seen this in all aspects of early game release, especially in alpha seasons, where a lot of the players, but obviously this will time will tell, as some of these games really kind of go. Let's go into explaining a little bit more about cNFTs, because your
Hmm.
NFT architecture is a little bit different and how it works. Quite
Mm.
unique. I'd love for you to explain that to our audience.
Yeah. So basically, this is very interesting because games who build on Ethereum, for example, and are restricted to the interfaces for the smart contract they build, like what is an NFT, what are the properties of an NFT, you are very limited to that information that you can put in this. There are still a lot of potential in using those smart contracts or interfaces, but for us with the cNFTs, we both Alice as a game, as we develop in parallel with the Chromia platform itself, we can give feedback to those developing the actual interface to give us what we need to make like NFTs that is perfect for gaming. So from the start already, you have like lots of potential of building items, houses, land, basically anything as an NFT. But also, what's very cool about that is we are not limited by any transaction fees, as once you we have deployed our blockchain and you want to move furnitures, you want to do anything, there isn't any fees to doing so. So we are not restricted by any transaction fees also. So there's a huge potential in us defining whatever attributes we want in these NFTs, but also we're not bound to these kind of transactions costs that exist.
How does the built-in valuation work? Because as I was reading, that essentially there's built-in value within the NFT itself. How is that because of the fact that it's on Chromia in terms of, the smart contract? What's the process there?
Like in other games that build on blockchain, there will be a set of the items that exist within the world will be limited. So in that sense, there's only one possible way to mint, for example, or create something new. If you want to create an animal, for example, there's just one specific way to do it, or you require a specific set of uh, other NFTs for that. So I think the limitation or like the amount of assets that exists will create the value itself. But also, we are also bridging uh, directly to other blockchains, like listening to smart contracts and listening to other like Binance Smart Chain. Currently, in the current implementation, the NFTs that are sold on other chains are used also in Chromia, or we're going to transfer those into Chromia.
I see. Okay. Is the roadmap on queue right now? I was looking beta 2023. Is that still something we'll probably see coming up in 2023 as the beta launch?
Yeah, I think with the team currently and the with growth comes challenges. Of course, any game studio, any studio having such growth comes with challenges. But I believe that with the dynamics of the team and how we're building right now, the pipeline we set up, it's taken a while to get where we are, and of
Yeah.
course, it's been seen for the feedback as well. But the team, as we are working currently, I think we're definitely in line with what we have put out.
Will the token have any utility this year?
So for acquiring, I cannot. I think this has to be, our fantastic economy designers are going to be the one who knows best about this. But of course, in our portal, once we release all the tools required to get access to the game, there will be utility for using the Alice token in order to acquire land. So that will be one way to actually own an Alice, to actually support the game, but even get access to the release.
Yeah. Okay, so timing, I think a lot of people in, the gaming sector, crypto gaming, there's so much pent-up demand for the games themselves. Obviously, there's a lot of both investors, but also players that want to get access on games. Do you feel like you guys are moving normal speed for blockchain gaming, or do you feel like you need to pick the pace up to compete with a lot of these other projects?
I believe that like any other technologies or even games, I believe that I'm not the one who believe first is always the best. I don't think we definitely have to look at our competitors and see, are they building faster and such. But I believe that if we're building for quality and creating a game that is sustainable long term, that will not disappear within a year after its release, but actually building something that exists for a long, long time to come. I think that will give value to the owners of Alice, or even those who invested in any way. So I believe
Right.
that we are on phase for what we're building, and I believe it's gonna pan out long term for everyone who has been part in this development.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good games, they take some time, and I think also just the economy side of things, it takes a lot of time to really develop those out because you have to understand really how the gameplay is going to work, how players themselves are going to react to certain kind of aspects. And then there's so many different ways that games we're seeing now, how players are essentially kind of finding loopholes or working different angles because obviously money's involved. So it's going to be interesting to see how those challenges go.
Mm.
As far as the partnership you guys did with Chromia, why go the Chromia route? You kinda lead it in a little bit there on the smart contract flexibility. Any other reasons, though, for Chromia, and how has that partnership been?
Yeah, so since we're working very tightly with the developers of the Chromia platform itself, I think it's a huge value for them to be able to listen for us for any feedback we can give them. So basically, it's a two-way communication. So whatever we need to support this game and make it a good blockchain game that has the tools and the technicalities that it requires, they are able to make that for us, and they will get a better platform and create better tools for developers who want to create dApps or other games on their platform. So it's the close contact that we have between each other makes it very fluid and efficient, and I think that will make a lot have a lot to do with the quality that we will produce.
Yeah. But last question I have for you, Oliver, and that is partnerships. You're working
Mm,
on, a partnership with Sandbox. There are so many opportunities out there from brand development, brand placement deals, brand integrations. Then you have metaverses developing all over the place. What is your plan in terms of kind of next level partnerships?
mm. Yeah, so I'm working as I'm working as a game director. I'm also working kind of as a brand guardian for Alice IP as well, and with that I mean that for me it's incredibly important that the style and the the game and the universe is intact in terms of what brand deals that we go into. There are a lot
Right.
of games who have lost their identity by going into too many deals, and we want
Very
to
true.
sustain the style. Yeah, and we want to sustain the style. And I think with us choosing the right ones to have deals with, I think we will definitely find people who have good products or great projects that we want to cooperate. That is great people as well. That is super important. But the identity of the game is important for me, uh, and I think that has been seen in other projects who has opened up for too many partnerships.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Oliwer Svensson, great to have you on the show. We appreciate it so much. And
thank you,
we're going to be watching Alice very closely. I, full
thank you.
disclosure, I own the token and been watching this game for a while. So I like what you guys are doing. So keep it up and can't wait to see more from your studio.
Thank you, Paul.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So you guys are tuned in over on the podcast right now. Make sure, of course, don't forget, we have another big show, and that is Tech Path Crypto. Occasionally, I'll do it. We have 2 sets when I'm normally in studio, and we kind of flow between the 2 shows, Metaverse Insider, Tech Path Crypto. When it comes to gaming, blockchain gaming, NFTs, and really kind of metaverse topics, this is the show for you. So but if you are into more traditional crypto, check out TechPath Crypto. You can pull it up on any of your podcast players out there. But the number one place to catch this show is right here on YouTube. And of course, the best thing to do is subscribe, like a couple of videos. It helps the algorithm. And it's going to give you notifications when we drop a live stream. Hopefully, we're going to be doing that soon again. And of course, if you want to reach me, it's out on Twitter at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on Metaverse Insider.